My fiancée said, "Love doesn't build security. I need to be smart about my future." Then her family demanded, I sign a prenup that leaves me with nothing. They never expected me to flip the script and walk out for good. Hey, Reddit. My fiance's family thought they could run my life like a board meeting. So I said, nope, took back control, and watched it all blow up. But before the chaos, here's how it started. I'm Mark, 29, mechanical engineer. Been with Rachel, 27, for 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago, wedding set for 4 months from now. We'd been saving for a house, planning everything down to furniture ideas and backyard plans. At least that's what I thought we were both doing. Thanksgiving at Rachel's parents' place was supposed to be a big deal this year. Her parents, David and Linda, hosted every November in their massive house in the suburbs. Usually there's a crowd. Siblings, cousins, neighbors stopping by for dessert. This year it was smaller. Just immediate family, me included. My parents live out of state, so Rachel's family invited me. I figured it was a good sign, like I was finally being folded into the family traditions. The smell hit me before I even got through the door. Turkey, stuffing, something sweet baking. Linda greeted me with a big smile, hugging me like we'd known each other forever. She's usually polite but formal. David shook my hand with both hands, told me he was glad I came. That was new. He's usually more distant, like he's sizing me up. Rachel looked amazing, like she always does, but I noticed she seemed tense. Kept checking her phone, fussing with the table settings, moving candles around like she couldn't sit still. We all sat down around this ridiculously perfect table. The turkey looked like something off a magazine cover. There was stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce, fresh rolls, the works. Dinner started off normal. David asked about my job. Real questions, too. Not the usual polite, how's work stuff. He laughed at a couple of my comments, even made a joke about engineers always fixing things that aren't broken. Linda kept offering me more food, saying I looked like I needed a second helping. Rachel's younger brother asked about cars because he knew I liked working on mine in my free time. It was nice. Half an hour in, people were slowing down, passing around pies, topping off drinks. That's when Rachel cleared her throat. Mark, she said, real serious. There's something I want to go over before things get too busy with wedding plans. She reached down beside her chair and pulled out this manila folder. Slid it across the table toward me like we were in a meeting, not Thanksgiving dinner. I looked at it. My name was printed neatly on a little label on the side. What's this? I asked. Rachel folded her hands. It's something I think will help us start our marriage on solid ground. Just read it when you can. I opened it right there because what else do you do when everyone's staring at you? It was a prenuptial agreement. Multiple pages, signatures marked with sticky notes, like it was all ready to go. I looked up. Rachel was watching me closely. David leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed, nodding like this was the smart thing to do. Linda kept that polite smile on her face, like she was hosting a seminar instead of Thanksgiving. I skimmed the pages. Separate bank accounts, separate savings, separate investments. And the house we were about to buy together? Title in Rachel's name only. If we divorced, she kept it no matter what I paid into it. I looked at her. When did we talk about this? Rachel kept her voice calm. It's just the smart way to handle things. My parents agree. It's better to have everything clear up front so there's no confusion later. Linda jumped in. Mark, this isn't unusual. Lots of couples do this. It protects both of you. I pointed at the house section. How does this protect me? David finally spoke. It's not personal, son. It's just making sure everyone keeps what they've worked hard for. That's when it hit me. The warm welcome, the compliments, the jokes. This whole holiday dinner was the setup. I closed the folder. I'm not signing anything tonight. I need time to read this properly and maybe talk to someone about it. Rachel frowned like I was being difficult. Mark, it's not complicated. It's just practical. Practical. That word stayed in my head the whole night. The rest of dinner felt weird. Linda started talking about her friends who lost everything in divorces. David threw in a story about a coworker who regretted not getting a prenup. Rachel barely looked at me after I said I wanted time to think. I thanked them for dinner, took the folder, and left. Sitting in my car, I just stared at it for a while. We were supposed to be building a future together. Now I wasn't so sure we were even on the same page. Tomorrow, I'd call a lawyer. In the morning after Thanksgiving, I sat at my kitchen table with coffee and opened the folder again. Reading it in daylight made things worse. It wasn't just the house. Every line was about separation. Checking accounts, savings, retirement funds, investments, all split. Even emergency funds had to stay separate. Nothing joint except maybe the wedding photos. The house clause was the part that stuck with me. Title only in Rachel's name. Mortgage split evenly. If we divorced, she keeps the house, no matter how much I paid into it. I checked twice for anything protecting me. There was nothing. By noon, I called Rachel. I read through everything, I said. Good, she said casually, like this was some routine paperwork. It's not complicated, Mark. It just sets expectations. I'm taking it to a lawyer, I told her. I'm not signing anything without understanding what I'm agreeing to. She sounded impatient. Fine. Do whatever you need to do. I just want this handled before we close on the house. Monday afternoon, I met with James, a lawyer recommended by a coworker. He looked mid-40s, sharp suit, calm voice. I handed him the folder. He read in silence, flipping pages quickly but carefully. After 15 minutes, he closed it and looked at me. Mark, this agreement is extremely one-sided, he said flatly. If you sign this, you're putting yourself at serious financial risk. I asked him to explain. Start with the house, he said, tapping the page. You'd pay half the mortgage, half the maintenance. Probably more since you make more. Yet legally, you'd own nothing. If the marriage ends, she keeps the property. That's not protection for both of you. That's her insulating herself while you take all the financial exposure. I pointed to the section about separate accounts. Is that normal? Some couples do it to keep things clean, he said, but combined with the house and everything else, it shows she wants zero financial overlap. She keeps everything separate, and you carry equal or greater expenses with no guarantee of shared ownership. But could this be rewritten to be fair? I asked. He nodded. Absolutely. A fair prenup might protect what she brought into the marriage, while splitting what you build together. That's common. This one assumes she keeps everything, now and in the future. It's like she's planning for separation before the wedding even happens. That line sat heavy in the room. So you wouldn't sign this? I asked. James didn't even hesitate. No. And I wouldn't move forward with the house either, not until this is completely reworked. You'd be pouring money into an asset you have no rights to. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And lenders don't let someone be on the hook for a mortgage without being on title. Their plan isn't just unfair, it's structurally shaky. I told him about the numbers. My $35,000 down payment, her $15,000, closing in 2 weeks. For clarity, I had $50,000 parked in the joint to cover my $35,000 share, plus closing costs and a cushion. Rachel had $12,000 in the joint, and the remaining $3,000 of her down payment in her separate savings. She can't qualify for the mortgage alone, right? He asked. Not even close, I said. Then you have leverage, he said simply. Use it. That evening, I called the realtor and said I was withdrawing. She looped in the lender, who said they couldn't proceed without my income and down payment and would need a formal borrower withdrawal, letter before they could shut the file. The realtor wasn't surprised. She'd seen couples hit this wall before. Next, I moved my $50,000 out of the joint account. That account had been mine alone before I added Rachel 6 months ago for the house process, and I'd parked my full liquid savings there to cover my $35,000 down payment plus closing costs and a buffer. She had $12,000 of her down payment funds sitting in that joint account. Her remaining $3,000 was in her separate savings. I left every cent of hers untouched. I wasn't taking chances. Tuesday morning, my phone rang. Rachel. Where's the money? She snapped immediately. I moved my share out, I said. Until the prenup changes, I'm not funding a house I won't own. Silence for a second. Then she exploded. Do you even realize what you've done? I told everyone about this house. We're supposed to close next week. Rachel, I said evenly, I'm not putting money into something where I have zero rights if things go wrong. This isn't about things going wrong, she shouted. It's about being responsible. Responsible for who? I asked. Because right now, this only protects you. She hung up. 2 hours later, Linda left a voicemail. She said I was overreacting, embarrassing Rachel, ruining plans she'd already shared with friends and family. That evening, David texted saying we should talk this through like men. Like men? After dropping a prenup on me at Thanksgiving dinner with no warning? By Wednesday, my position was clear. No signing, no house, not under those terms. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Wednesday evening, I got home from work, dropped my keys on the counter, and checked my phone. 4 missed calls from Rachel, 2 from Linda, 1 from David. I hadn't called any of them back since the morning argument about the money. I barely had time to set my bag down before the phone rang again. Rachel. Mark, we need to talk, she said. Her tone wasn't angry this time, just cold. About what? I asked, even though I knew. About the house, about the prenup, About you pulling out of everything without even giving us a chance to explain? Explain what? I asked. You dropped a legal contract on me at Thanksgiving dinner and expected me to sign it before the turkey got cold. She let out a sharp breath. You're being dramatic. It was just paperwork to make things clear. Clear for who? I said. Because right now it only protects you. She didn't answer right away. Can you at least come talk to my parents? They want to work this out. I told her I'd think about it. I didn't commit to anything. The next day at work, my phone kept buzzing. Texts from Rachel, voicemails from Linda, even David tried calling. Around lunch, I stepped outside to listen to one. Mark, Linda's voice said, sweet but with an edge, we're worried you're making decisions you'll regret. Rachel is heartbroken. This house was supposed to be her dream, and you're ruining it over nothing. Over nothing. $35,000, a mortgage, and a one-sided contract apparently counted as nothing to them. That evening, Rachel showed up at my apartment. First time she'd come over since Thanksgiving. She walked in without waiting for me to invite her, dropped her purse on the counter, and crossed her arms. Why are you doing this? She asked. I stayed calm. Because I'm not signing a contract that treats me like a walking wallet with no rights. Her eyes narrowed. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? I asked. She hesitated, then said, it's about being smart. About protecting what's mine if something happens. I stared at her. Rachel, we were supposed to be building something together. This contract says you're planning for everything to stay separate forever. Why even get married then? She didn't answer. I told her straight, I'm not signing as it stands. And the house? I'm out until this changes. Her face went red. So you're just going to throw everything away because you feel insulted? No, I said. I'm protecting myself the same way you are. She grabbed her purse and left without another word. Friday afternoon, David called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got me. Mark, he said in that calm businessman voice, I think we can find middle ground here. I'm listening, I said. We can look at the contract again, he said. Maybe adjust a few things to make you more comfortable. But you should still move forward with the house deal. That shows good faith. It proves you're serious about the marriage. I laughed. You want me to pay into a house I wouldn't own while we, maybe, fix the prenup later? No chance. You're being emotional, he said. This is just business. Marriage isn't just business, I told him. If Rachel wants financial separation, then she gets full separation. I'm not paying into assets I have no rights to. He paused, then said, You're making a mistake, son. I hung up without replying. Saturday morning, things escalated again. Rachel showed up at my place for the second time that week. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept. Mark, this doesn't have to be a fight, she said. Then fix the prenup, I told her. She shook her head. My parents think you're overreacting. They say you're letting pride ruin everything. Rachel, I said slowly, your parents planned this with you. None of you told me. You dropped it on me at Thanksgiving and expected me to sign without question. That's not pride. That's self-respect. She sat down, rubbed her temples. I just wanted to feel secure, she said quietly. Secure from me? I asked. She didn't answer. I told her again. No prenup changes, no house, no wedding planning. Not until things were fair. She left without saying goodbye. By Sunday night, I realized Rachel and her parents weren't backing down. Instead, they were doubling their calls, texts, and voicemails. The Monday morning started with another voicemail from Linda. Her tone wasn't polite this time. It dripped with condescension. Mark, she said sharply, this childish stunt with the house has gone far enough. Rachel has told everyone about this home. People are expecting updates. Do you want her to look like a fool because you're suddenly paranoid about paperwork? I deleted it halfway through. By lunchtime, David sent a text. We can change a few things if that makes you less nervous. But Rachel isn't backing out of the house just because you're dragging your feet. Dragging my feet. That's what he called removing myself from a one-sided mortgage deal. That evening, Rachel showed up at my place. No greeting, no small talk. My parents want to meet tomorrow night, she said. They're tired of you making this bigger than it is. Bigger than it is? I asked. You mean me not blindly signing whatever they hand me? Her expression didn't change. They said they'll compromise, but you need to stop acting like this is some kind of trap. I agreed to go. At that point, I wanted to hear what they thought compromise looked like. Tuesday night, I drove to their house. The smiles from Thanksgiving were gone. Rachel sat rigid on the couch beside me while David handed out coffee. The room as stiff as a status meeting. We've talked this over, David said in his usual patronizing tone. We're willing to tweak a few things to calm you down. Which things? I asked. Linda crossed her arms. We'll allow one joint account for bills. That's it. Everything else stays separate, obviously. Obviously, I repeated. And the house clause? David leaned back, smirking. The house stays in Rachel's name. Non-negotiable. She's the one with family money and reputation to protect. I set my cup down. Then there's no point in continuing this conversation. Rachel jumped in. Mark, stop acting like a victim. This is standard. You should be grateful my parents even agreed to look at it again. Grateful? I said. For a deal where I pay half the mortgage on a house I won't own? David waved a hand dismissively. You're being emotional. Real adults handle these things without drama. Real adults talk about this before dropping it in someone's lap at Thanksgiving. I shot back. Linda's eyes narrowed. You're making Rachel out to be some villain when she's just being responsible. Maybe you're not ready for a woman who actually plans ahead. Plans ahead for what? Divorce? I said. Rachel slammed her hand on the table. Stop twisting everything. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I stood up. I'm not signing as it stands. And I'm not paying for a house that isn't mine. End of discussion. I left before they could say anything else. The next day, they escalated things again. Rachel texted, My parents think you're trying to embarrass us. They said you're blowing this up because you don't understand how real families handle money. Real families. Right. Thursday afternoon, David called, pretending to be calm again. Look, he said, I get that you feel cornered, but the adult thing to do is keep the house deal moving. We can fix the contract later. You mean after I've paid into a house I won't own? I said. You think too small, he snapped. This is about securing Rachel's future. Don't make this about you. I hung up. Friday evening, Linda showed up at my door without warning. Mark, she said, glaring at me like I was 12. Rachel deserves someone who supports her, not someone who throws tantrums over paperwork. Do you have any idea how many men would be thrilled to marry into this family? Then maybe they can pay for the house, I said, holding the door open for her to leave. She glared like she wanted to say more, then stormed off muttering about me being ungrateful. By Sunday night, it was clear they thought insulting me would pressure me into agreeing. Instead, it pushed me further in the opposite direction. What none of them knew was that someone in their own family was about to tell me things they definitely didn't want me to hear. And that's when everything unraveled. At Monday afternoon, I was at work finishing a design report when my phone buzzed. Hey, Mark? It's Jessica. We'd chatted at a few family things. Smart, blunt, worked in finance. I probably shouldn't be calling, she said. But you need to know what's being said. About what? You, the prenup, and your job. For months, Rachel, Aunt Linda, and Uncle David have been saying manufacturing is unstable and that it's only a matter of time before you're laid off. They've been framing the prenup as protecting Rachel so she won't end up carrying you. The room got quiet in that way, where nothing actually changes. For months? Before the engagement, she said. Before the house. Rachel didn't fight them. She kept saying she had to be practical. My company's growing. I've had 2 promotions in 3 years. I know, she said. I just thought you should hear the truth before you sign anything. We hung up. 10 minutes later, she texted, They're going to be mad I told you, but you deserve the full picture. Wednesday, things blew up. Linda left another voicemail, furious this time. Mark, stop dragging other family members into this. Jessica had no right to meddle. This is between you and Rachel. You need to stop making this a bigger deal than it is. Bigger deal? They'd been plotting behind my back for half a year and I was the problem? That evening, Jessica texted me again. They're mad I told you, but you deserve to know everything before you make any big decisions. I thanked her, because at that point, my entire view of Rachel had changed. It wasn't just the prenup anymore. It was the lying by omission, the manipulation, the way she and her parents talked like they were running a business deal instead of a marriage. Thursday night, Rachel showed up at my apartment. She looked angry. Why are you talking to Jessica? She demanded as soon as I opened the door. Because she told me the truth, I said. She doesn't know what she's talking about, Rachel snapped. She said you and your parents have been planning this prenup for months because you think my job isn't secure. Is she lying? Rachel didn't answer. She just stood there, arms crossed, staring at me. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I told her flat out, if you think I'm such a risk, why do you even want to marry me? Rachel glared. Because I love you, Mark. But love doesn't build security. I need to be smart about my future. Smart about her future, not ours. I didn't say anything else. Because at that point, I knew exactly where this was heading. Friday evening, I texted Rachel. We need to talk. Just you and me. No parents, no cousins, no audience. She agreed to meet at a coffee shop near downtown. The same place where we'd had our first date 3 years ago. When I walked in, she was already there. Dressed sharp as always, arms folded, phone on the table like she had somewhere better to be. Mark, she said, are we finally going to be reasonable? I sat down. Rachel, I heard everything from Jessica. How long have you been planning this prenup behind my back? She didn't flinch. For a while, she admitted. We just wanted to make sure things were set up right. We? I repeated. So it wasn't just you. It was a whole family project. She shifted in her seat. They were giving advice. That's what families do. Advice, I said. Or pressure. Rachel rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. They want the best for me. They're just protecting me in case your job. In case my job what? I cut her off. In case it doesn't work out, she said bluntly. I stared at her. So the plan was to marry me while legally keeping everything separate because you assume I might crash and burn? She looked annoyed. It's called being smart, Mark. I have to think about my future. There it was. No hesitation, no apology, just entitlement wrapped up as planning ahead. I nodded slowly. So what's in this for me? You get me, she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I laughed. Couldn't help it. People turned to look. Mark, she snapped. What's so funny? Rachel, I said, you want me to pay into a marriage, into a house, into a life, while you and your parents make sure I walk away with nothing if things go south. And I'm supposed to thank you for the privilege? She crossed her arms. You're twisting everything. I'm offering security. For you, I said, not for us. She switched tactics then, leaned forward, softened her voice like she thought I'd forgotten the last 10 minutes. Look, she said, we can adjust some things. Maybe add your name to the savings account. Would that make you feel better? I shook my head. No, the house stays off limits. That's the deal breaker. Rachel sighed dramatically. Mark, be realistic. The house is mostly my parents' contribution anyway, she claimed. That's not what the paperwork shows, I said. On paper, it's $35,000 from me and $15,000 from you. There's no documented money from your parents in the deal, and the mortgage only exists with my income. Without me, there isn't a loan. Her voice rose. So now you're holding the house hostage? I'm protecting myself, I said evenly. Rachel glared like I'd insulted her. You sound like my parents now. That's their argument. Yeah, I said. The difference is they expect me to pay for everything while owning nothing. I don't. She pulled out her phone then, like she was ready to storm off. You're throwing away this relationship over paperwork, she said loudly enough for the next table to hear. I stayed calm. No, Rachel. I'm ending this because you planned for my failure before we even got married. She froze. You think I didn't notice? I said. The secrecy, the timing, the way your parents talk to me like I'm some intern at their company? You didn't plan a marriage. You planned an exit strategy. Rachel slammed her phone on the table. So what now? You want to call off the wedding? Make me look stupid in front of everyone? I shrugged. Better now than 10 years from now when you walk away with the house I paid for. Her voice cracked then, from anger, not sadness. Do you even love me? Loved you enough to plan a life with you? I said. Apparently not enough for you to trust me back. She stared at me for a long moment. You're going to regret this. No, I said, standing up. I'm going to sleep fine for the first time in weeks. I walked out before she could say anything else. By the time I got home, she'd sent 5 texts in a row. You're making a huge mistake. My parents think you're being selfish. Do you know how hard it'll be to explain this to everyone? I told people about the wedding already, about the house. You're humiliating me. I didn't answer any of them. The next morning, David called. Young man, he said, voice measured, you need to stop this nonsense before you ruin Rachel's reputation. I exhaled once, more tired than amused. Her reputation? That's what you're worried about? You're overreacting, he said sharply. This is business. You're walking away from a good deal. I'm walking away from a deal where I lose every time, I said. Keep the house. Keep the prenup. Keep the attitude. I'm done. He started to say something else, but I hung up. Because by then, it wasn't just about money anymore. It was about respect. And there was none left. Saturday morning, the lender emailed the kill letter. I signed it on my phone. A few minutes later, they confirmed the loan application was canceled and the file closed. With my $35,000 back in my account and the application dead, there wasn't anything left to reconsider. By noon, Rachel texted, You're really doing this? After everything? I replied, You and your parents built this on terms I never agreed to. I'm done. An hour later, David called, voice already heated. Rachel told people the timeline, he snapped. She's getting questions. You've made her look ridiculous because you couldn't handle a simple agreement. Simple, I said. Maybe she shouldn't have announced things before we agreed on the basics. This isn't just about you, he said. You're humiliating her. She did that herself, I said. Not my job to fix her image. He hung up. That evening, Linda called, voice sugar-coated and firm. The invitations went out. Deposits paid. Flights booked. If you back out, Rachel will be the woman left at the altar because her fiancé threw a fit over paperwork. So this is about saving face, I said. You think reputation doesn't matter? She snapped. My daughter isn't getting embarrassed because you can't handle adult responsibilities. Adult responsibilities start with honest conversations, I said. Not contracts dropped at Thanksgiving. Stop making this bigger than it is, she said coldly. Sign the agreement, keep the date, stop embarrassing everyone. I ended the call. Sunday afternoon, Rachel showed up at my place unannounced. No hi, no can we talk. She walked in like she still lived there and stood in the middle of the living room. So that's it? She said. You're canceling the wedding? Yes, I said. I already told the venue and the caterer. The rest are next. She stared like she was waiting for me to take it back. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? My friends, my coworkers, my family, everyone knows the date. Then you shouldn't have built a wedding on a marriage you expected me to sign away, I said. You're tossing 3 years for a few pages of legal protection? She said, arms crossed tight. I'm ending it because you spent months preparing for me to fail, I said. You didn't plan a partnership. You planned a shield. She shook her head. You'll regret this. No one else is going to put up with you. Good, I said, opening the door. I won't waste time with someone who treats me like a liability. She slipped the engagement ring off and set it on the kitchen counter without looking at me. Mail it if you want, she said. She walked out without another word. Monday morning, I started the cancel calls. The venue manager sounded tired but polite. She said they'd return half the deposit if the date filled. If not, they'd keep the minimum. I told her that was fine. The caterer asked if it was family stuff. I said, something like that. They refunded everything but the planning fee. The photographer offered to transfer part of our payment to a smaller shoot. I declined. Each call was quick. Just, we're canceling, and send the final invoice. Afterward, I called James, the lawyer, to review any loose ends. Shared bills, leases, accounts. By lunch, I'd sent all statements. 30 minutes later, he emailed back clear bullet points. What to close, what to change, who to notify. I followed each step, removed Rachel from a card, split utilities, documented balances. Clean break. Word got around fast. Rachel's friends started messaging me. Most of them people I barely knew. You ruined everything. She said you got scared of commitment. This is heartless. I didn't answer. I didn't argue. I blocked the worst ones and archived the rest. Tuesday evening, Jessica called. I heard it's officially done, she said. For what it's worth, I think you chose peace over chaos. Yeah, I said. Feels like it. She's telling people you backed out last minute for no reason, Jessica warned. But anyone who knows the full picture will see it. She can say whatever she wants, I said. I'm not writing statements. After we hung up, I boxed up the last of Rachel's things. Shoes she'd left, a sweater, a hairdryer, random makeup. I put everything in a large bag and set it by the door. I texted, your stuff is packed. Pick it up tomorrow by 6 or I'll drop it at your parents' porch. She replied with a single word, fine. Wednesday morning, I took the engagement ring she'd left on my counter Sunday out of the drawer. I'd been ignoring it. I shot her a final text. I'll mail the ring insured if you send the address. Your choice. She read it and didn't answer. Later, Linda emailed an address with a one-line note. Return immediately. I wrapped the ring, insured the box, took a photo of the receipt, and sent it. Done. By Thursday, I'd moved the last few things from the old apartment Rachel and I used to share. I left the keys on the counter with a short note. All utilities paid through the end of the month. Internet ends on the 30th. I took a photo for my records and walked out. A couple of friends showed up at my new place that night with takeout and dumb jokes. Tom, my best man that wasn't, looked around at the half-unpacked boxes and said, fresh start, man. This time, you pick a partner, not a project. I laughed because he wasn't wrong. Friday morning, David sent one last text. You'll never find someone of Rachel's caliber again? I stared at it for a second, then blocked his number. Caliber isn't a personality. When I got home that night, I changed my number, backed up photos to a drive, and locked down social accounts. No dramatic posts, just privacy settings and a quiet exit. Midday, James emailed the all clear. Everything separated, nothing shared left, paper trail clean. He wrote, if you get any surprise demands, forward them. Otherwise, you're set. I replied with a simple, thank you. That was the first time all week I felt completely steady. Late afternoon, Rachel's final message came through on the chat app before I removed her from the last thread. You made me look stupid. I hope you're happy. I typed, I'm not happy this ended. I'm relieved I saw it in time. Then I left the thread and muted the whole group. That night, Tom called. You free? He asked. We're getting out of the apartment maze. Fresh air, stupid jokes, real food. I grabbed my jacket. On the way out the door, I looked at the quiet living room. No reminders, no boxes with her name, no folder with my name on a label, just my stuff and a short list of things to build next. Here's what Rachel kept. The agreement her parents wanted, their approval, the face-saving story for people who don't dig into details. Here's what she lost. A husband who would have shown up, paid bills, and fixed things without being asked, because that's who I am. She didn't plan for that part. She planned for the exit, so she got one. I locked the door and stepped into the hallway, feeling lighter than I had in months. 3 years ended in a week, but the truth is it would have ended later anyway. Just messier and more expensive. Better now. And no, I don't need a parade or advice. I needed a clean line. I drew it.